On today's episode of Thin Ice, we are talking about power, both literally and figuratively. Joining me right now is the president of Consumer Power with Generac, Kyle Raabe. Kyle, first of all, it looks like you're in front of a generator.
Yeah, I've got one behind me. This is one of the residential, the permanently installed ones that we make. It just happens to be a piece of artwork on the wall behind me that shows it to you.
You've made a career out of working for Generac, coming and going over a period of almost 2 decades. Do you remember back to your own childhood any big storms that maybe could be connected to how you made a career out of this?
You know, what's funny is that living in Wisconsin, it's actually a really great area to be a generator manufacturer because we don't get really big storms. You know, we get outages and thunderstorms, Amy, that, maybe it'll put you out for a couple hours, maybe overnight, things like that. But before coming to the business, to be very frank with you, 20 years ago, the category wasn't very big. Like, people didn't think or talk about standby generators, so it was kind of this new thing that I was actually talked into coming to. So there was no like, hey, guess what, long lead time, like thought process around it. It was actually a friend reaching out and said, hey, I think I know something that's really innovative that you'd be really interested in. You should come on over to Generac and I think you'll enjoy it.
The growth and the need of generators over time you mentioned, do you think it's correlated somewhat with particular storms, big storms? And is there anything that stands out to you, maybe looking back to Katrina or any other type of major storms that people started thinking, hey, a generator might be a good idea?
Yeah, Amy, you hit the one that I was going to mention right there was Katrina. You know, that was the first one that, just really took a ton of homes out. And I would say, that's probably the wrong way to say it, but took power away from, a ton of homes. The other one that I think really changed the landscape, Amy, was Sandy, right? So most people in the Northeast think, well, hey, I'm out of hurricane zone. Hurricanes belong, they belong down in Florida or they belong in Texas, not New Jersey, not New York City, right? So I think those two storms are kind of like really big ones that had people all of a sudden turning their heads like, well, am I really safe? But the other side of it too is just the way power outages have continued to go on an upward scale. Year over year over year, they just keep creeping upwards. I've got a lot of good friends in the state of Michigan, and before coming to Generac, I never realized, like, the summer storms and thunderstorms, the ice storms that go through Michigan, like, it's really like there's a big impact to those people.
It really is interesting when you look at different types of storm impacts, because flooding is always so disastrous, but people don't really realize how power is essential to what, some people's lives, their livelihood, how they continue to operate their business. It's more than just the lights being out. When you lose your electricity and when it can be for prolonged periods of time, it really can be devastating. As a company, do you guys go out on scene? Are you there after the storm in some way? How does Generac deal with post-storm?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways that we think about it. Obviously, we try to offer as much help as we can from where we are, right? Our phones, explode, and we've got teams that come in here. We operate like a war room kind of thing, right? Where we're on the phones because our dealers are the ones that live there, right? Whether you're in New York or Ohio. But there is something, Amy, that we do that is pretty special. Like, as the storm goes, especially if there's a big one you can see, and the easiest ones are hurricanes for us to watch them, like, come across the Atlantic or come up from the Gulf, is we actually gather teams here of technicians and we put them into vehicles, load the vehicles with parts that we know are going to be needed. And that team generally is driving into the storm, right? So they'll go and they'll wait outside of, where a storm is projected to land. And then when they find out, hey, this is where it hit and this is kind of the center of where people are without power, they go and they drive into that and they do their best to find, a home that has power or a VRBO or somewhere where the crews can stay over the course of, in some cases, 2 to 3 weeks. But they're right on the ground, like, helping homeowners, helping our dealers work on generators that people maybe have installed or are trying to put in or are struggling with. Yeah, we go right into the storm, unfortunately.
And of course,
or fortunately.
Yeah, and as a meteorologist, I have to ask, where are you getting your forecast information? Do you have a team of meteorologists? Do you have a favorite source? How do you guys get in the right position?
Yeah, we do a couple of things. We watch the same news sources everybody else does, right? Like whether it's you're looking at NOAA or the Weather Channel or whichever one you fancy. But then we do also have the meteorologist on staff that is constantly watching what's going on. We get updates very regularly throughout the week. And we talk about hurricanes now, like those are kind of marching right at you, and you can see them. But when we see weather, warm and cold colliding in the middle of summer, we get updates from our staff meteorologists to say, hey, think about staffing overtime, make sure our phones are on, let our dealers know, send messages out to homeowners that have generators, like be ready because we can see weather systems coming together.
Oh, that's fascinating. What a the great synergy in between those two things. I know Generac, maybe the staple is what people think of. They think generators when they think Generac. But what kind of growth are you having in sort of battery power, solar energy? What are some other tools that people could use that would help them in the power realm, storm or not?
Sure. We watch some really big trends, Amy, that are going on in the utility space or in the energy space. One is, reliability. So you're right, that's our hallmark, right? A generator. But when you step back and you take a look at it, other really big trends are what you pay the utility today versus what you paid 5 years ago. I promise you it's higher, and in some areas, significantly higher. So we've made some investments in energy storage, which is exactly what you're talking about, or clean energy storage, where it attaches to solar on the roof. And the idea behind that is the more that you can provide of power of your own, the less you're paying to a utility who typically has to continue to rise or has to increase their rates to be able to afford the infrastructure changes, afford power generation investments that they have to put in. So it's a capital intensive business, and the place that they get money to invest in that capital is from you and I paying our bill, every week and every month. So our clean energy business, whether it's attached to the home, and we have made a pretty big investment in clean energy storage that goes with a solar system, or portable batteries, is that's a category that continues to grow because it's a battery for someone that's in an apartment or that they're in a condo and they can't run an engine, but yet I've got a CPAP machine or I've got a fridge or something of that nature that needs like really local backup. We're now in the portable battery space, which helps those people as well. So just a different way to look at like how much power do I need and when I need it. Well, I'm in a condo, right? And I just need my refrigerator to be backed up in the case of an outage. Well, great, we've got a battery for you that looks like a portable generator and it'll back you up for 24 hours.
I like thinking of some of those things because I think it can make you storm ready. It also can create energy efficiency, and it also just gives you more confidence that you can self-sustain during the time when you might need to depend on someone. You can't always depend on everyone else or the government or the power companies, but if you can, depend on yourself in some of those times, I think that is really critical, and it gives people a lot of confidence on what's happening. While I have you here, though, I want to ask you a question, and if you are like, I don't know what you're talking about, I can't answer that question to say it. But we got an electric car. We got a Tesla. My husband bought a Cybertruck. It's a whole story I could go into. But okay,
sure
the first week we have the Cybertruck. Dude, we are going like 20 minutes to the charging station to charge the car. I said to him, we've got to get the plug for the house to get this going. So is there a really good way to set yourself up if you're going to have an electric car? And I am asking for my own selfish reasons.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Well, first of all, you want to be able to plug into the house, right? For sure, right? So you've got to get the right, vehicle charger. But then if you're someone and you step back and say, well, what if the power goes out? If you've traditionally owned a gas vehicle like I have, and it sounds like you have as well, if the power goes out, I think about it as a funny way. That's your getaway, right? Like, hey, if I need to go to a hotel, if I need to go stay with relatives 5 hours away, right? That's my getaway vehicle. Well, okay, wait a minute, that's an electric car. Am I charged? So I would say this, Amy, if someone's getting set up and they're in an area where power outages happen frequently, think about how much backup power do I have, whether it's with a battery system, you might have that, and that could charge some of your car, but the battery in your car is actually a lot bigger, right? In which case, I would think about a small portable generator attached to your house so that when that car is, let's say it's at 50% or it's at 30% and you pull in and there's an outage, hey, your generator kicks on and it can actually fill the car pretty fast. So I would, in my personal opinion, I would probably go, if I've got an EV, I'd make sure that I have some type of home standby, or backup system, because I always want my getaway vehicle 100% of the time, no matter what.
Good advice. I like it. Generac over the years has had different outreaches, different ways to sort of educate the consumers. In fact, my good friend Stephanie Abrams at the Weather Channel, I don't know if it was you or somebody else, over the years, she's done different demonstrations of how generators work and so forth. I think some people are educated the hard way as they go through a storm and think, wow, I wish I would have had a generator, and that's how they get the education. But what do you do as a company sort of for outreach to say, this might be a good idea because you live in a particular storm zone? Do you target people that way, or is it education for everyone? Does everybody need a generator, or is it just people in sort of a storm zone?
You gave me about 6 questions in there, so I'll go. So I'll take a couple and walk them down. Yeah, what we do, Amy, is if someone's interested, right, the first question we always get is like, which one do I need, right? Because we make like a whole portfolio of products, right? And you've got everybody that just wants a portable that sits outside, and they're super capable, right? And they just want to, hey, I'll fill it with gasoline on my own, I'll plug it in, I'll run the cords into my house, right? Awesome, right? That'll get you like your fridges and just your devices. But to know that, I think where you're going here is, are you educated enough to understand what you actually need? And that's where we do a lot of work. Like, you'll see our TV ads and they talk about power outages, but we always recommend you to get with one of our dealers or to go to our website and say, hey, we'll walk you through a simple sizing and you make the choices of what you want. And where that goes, and this is why I really love the process, is it makes someone think about it, like, well, do I just need one fridge backed up and I'm okay because I'm like young and super resilient? Or maybe I'm older and I'm not leaving this house no matter what, no matter how bad it goes, like I can't leave because I'm just not that mobile. Okay, now I need an installed permanent generator. And we'll take you everywhere in between, but we usually try to steer you, give you some awareness, and it doesn't matter where you are, right? Then come and just walk through the process. And generally you can leave going, well, hey, yeah, maybe a portable battery is the right thing for me and I'm perfectly comfortable. Or you might leave saying, hey, guess what? We should probably have a dealer come to the house and take a look and walk us through the process to say, do I want an air-cooled unit, a liquid-cooled unit, and work through the variety. But you're right, it's about education and just, hey, take the time to think through what happens if my power's out for 24 hours, or what if it's 3 days, right? And the second you ask those questions, all of a sudden, like, you get into the process and it really isn't that hard. But if you take just 45 minutes, someone can walk away pretty prepared for what might happen to them.
I really like that approach because it also gives you the opportunity to learn about some of the risks and the safety involved with generators. Some people are so concerned with using the generator and getting the power, they kind of forget about the execution, how important it is for safety.
Yeah, there's no question that you've got 2 different levels, right? When you think about that portable generator, like, that's on you as you use it. Like, hey, you want to make sure it's, long ways away from the house. Run your extension cords, right? I don't like running extension cords, right? But don't put it in the garage. Don't put it in the home. Like, keep it outside. If you flip over, Amy, and you go to an automatic generator and it's put in by one of our dealers, right? They kind of do that for you. They look at, like, where are the windows? Where's your gas supply? It's an engine, so there's going to be some emissions that come off of it. Let's make sure we've got it far enough away from the house. But once you do that, Amy, like, there's no question in your mind, like, I'm pretty good. My dealer took care of me. It's installed. And we've had people in storm areas, whether it's a winter storm or a hurricane, run for 5 days straight, right? And there's a generator out there running, and it just continues to give them power, and they go through life like the storm never happened.
Yeah, I've seen it actually myself, being out in storms, the difference that a generator can make in post-storm recovery, just dealing with post-storm in general, whether you have a lot of damage to your house or you've got electricity out or whatever in your neighborhood. But people who have the generators, it really does make a massive difference in their experience post-storm. I want to talk to you a little bit about what you've seen evolve over time. In this particular topic of power and storm activity, you get up close and personal with people. What's been your experience in seeing people and how they deal with storms and the difference that technology makes for them?
Sure. I think no matter what, no matter how you look at it, whether it's technology or no technology, you still have 2 separate buckets of people, Amy. You have the people who prepare and they think about it ahead of time, and then you have people who have to react really fast. And when you go to that fast reaction type of individual, not a lot of technology, portable generator, they've been around for, the longest time. But when you think about the people who prepare, like our generators and many of them in the world, like you see it on your phone. We tell you, is your generator ready to go? Is it about ready to run? Have you had outages? Even in some cases, news sites that help you, like your area has had a lot of outages. We give notifications to you over your phone, like, hey, there's outages or bad weather coming your way. So technology has enabled you not only, if I have one in, is it ready to go? And I can I depressurize when a storm is coming, like, oh, well, my generator's telling me it's ready to go. I have nothing to worry about. All the way through to where we have, meteorologists on staff, as well as the way we watch storms, telling you ahead of time, sending you a text message or sending you an email, hey, storms are coming your way. If your generator isn't ready to run, you may want to take action right now. So I think technology, to me anyways, people are using it to depressurize the risk of a storm. And all you've got to do is lean in for just a little bit and say, well, hey, what happens if that power outage comes? All of a sudden you start going down the path of, well, maybe I am better prepared for it. And maybe, a generator and maybe technology can help me feel even better when the storm comes in, that there's less risk.
And it's certainly over time, technology has added sort of those extra layers that you talk about that bring a little bit more confidence going into situations. For you personally, over your career, do you have a story where you say, I'll never forget this storm for the impact that it made just on you personally or for the impact that it made on the company?
Yeah, I think the big storms, that we talked about already, like from Katrina and Sandy, and the impact that they've had to the industry, right? Certainly the company. But there have been, storm after storm after storm that comes in, and you hear people who, are in, let's just say, they're in a lot of stress, right? Their homes aren't there anymore. Or, hey, the power's been out for days and weeks, and you hear about what they have to do to go through that. And I'll actually flip it the other way, Amy, is we also see people who reach out to the community. Like they're the only one in the neighborhood that have backup power, right? Whether it's a portable, a battery wall, a standby generator, and how they reach out to the community and say, hey, come here, like I can help take care of you. But the people, just the one that we had in North Carolina last year when the hurricane went up, people stranded in the mountains. Our teams were there, and we saw generators being flown in helicopters, right, up to mountain towns to be able to power the local convenience store so people can come and just get basic food and water. I mean, the impact that has on people it's unbelievable when all of a sudden you turn around and you say, well, hey, guess what? My phone doesn't charge. And in fact, there's no mobile network even available to me. And how am I going to get food? And all those things that you said before, like, well, these are just the essentials you take for granted. I mean, the technology of a cell phone, what happens when it's gone, right? It's gone. So I see the way weather affects people, and being able to be part of Generac where we're helping people that are in like a really dark time, and no pun intended there, right? But they're really struggling, and whether it's a portable generator or the crews we send in or helping people who have standby generators make sure they're running, like there's actually a more, it's a very satisfying job to have, because you take a look at the people you help, you're like, you know what, we made a difference in somebody's life today.
That is so critical. You think about power outages for somebody who has a health condition, and they've got to have power in order to help sustain life for a loved one, or some of those sort of extremely critical situations. I know that technology, even around the medical equipment, has gotten better and better, so that they build in some of those things. But those essential pieces are really the things that you need to go over a storm list. It's not just making sure that you've got your water in place. You really need to think about your lifestyle and how you check those boxes. Is there any advice that you would give to people as they prepare for major seasons? Like, of course, hurricane season, but we're getting ready to enter into winter weather, which can equally be disruptive, especially when it comes to power. What advice do you give out to be like the reminders as each season changes?
Sure. It's funny. People do take winter for granted, right? Like, well, hey, is that really a big risk? And we saw in 2021 Texas, right? They call it the big Texas freeze, right? Like, wow, the things that went on there in a state that wasn't ready to freeze, right? Pipes were breaking. There's things that people just don't think about. So as you move through the seasons, Amy, I always think about it in my own home, right? I'm in Wisconsin. Like, we freeze pretty hard here in Wisconsin. Pretty stable power, but we freeze pretty hard. Just think about each season, whether you're going into summer or you're going into winter, what would happen if, right, the lights turned off, the power went off for 2 days? If someone were to like ask that question every time and just walk through what would happen if that was gone for 2 days, in some cases, where would I go? Like, if I can't stay in my home, to your point, if someone needs a medical or has a medical device and they need to run and I don't have power, where would I go? Like, is there a hotel nearby? Do my relatives live close? Like, when would I choose to leave? Maybe I've got a battery that keeps me ready to go for 12 hours. But man, if it was 48 hours, you know what? I've got to think just a little bit differently.
In your role, president of Consumer Power, you've, literally had to take charge, again, no pun intended, but take charge of this division where you're working with people, with families, with communities in order to help them move forward. Are there any sort of exciting things on the horizon that people should know about, look forward to, that have to do with keeping power or even being more efficient in their own life with power?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything, from a technology perspective that will revolutionize it. Certainly, we rely on the utilities no matter what. And I know utilities, they're constantly investing in backup power or greener power to try to keep the bill low, right? So there's a lot of things that are going on there. But if I think about myself personally, right, the home that I live in versus the home I lived in 10 years ago, right, there's LED lighting and things are turning on and off automatically. So you're working to save energy. My home is better insulated. So I don't know if there's any like magic technological thing that is going to take our electrical bills down. And in fact, in many cases, we're watching people start to creep up a little bit. Maybe you're pulling natural gas off, but you're putting an EV in your home, right? Or I've got an induction stove. It's super efficient to cook, right? Things get hot really fast, but you know what? They really consume a lot of electricity. So it's kind of a balance, Amy, right? We're still creatures of comfort, right? We love stuff fast, right? We love a lot of power. We don't ever want to be told no, right? So sometimes we're fighting ourselves going, well, I actually need more power because I'm going to rely on it more. But wait, is there a way for me to do it more efficiently, whether I live in an apartment or I build my own home, right? Thinking about, insulation and whether I'm going to have natural gas in my home or I'm going to have, all electric. There's different puts and takes for everybody in every part of the country. But it'll help us manage the energy better. And I think that's, to me anyways, as I think about the products that we bring in, how do I manage it better? Turn it off when I'm not needing it. Turn it on only when I do need it. Is it, are my lights the most efficient they can be? But again, nobody ever wants to be told, well, no, you can't turn that on, right, when you need it. So that's the balance I think that everybody has to think about.
Make it a little simpler, but also make sure you stay comfortable. That's
right.
A good combination, and make it cost less. Of course, is the ultimate thing. Before I leave you, I just want to give you an opportunity. I know Generac has been so involved in sort of giving back to some of these communities. I mean, at the same time, they're a business and people are coming to them to buy a product. There also is a genuine offering from the company to help educate, to help make sure people do get what they need. What are some of the programs that you guys have organized that are community outreach?
Sure, we've got a couple of them, and we keep it really local, actually. So as an organization, we certainly donate and we work with national organizations. But what we actually rely on more, Amy, and to me, right, this is we try to hit home in the local market. When you think about the fact that we have 9,000 dealers, right, across the country, each one of those dealers is participating. We help them participate in community events, right? We help them, back up homes. We make sure that that dealer is set up and they really know what's going on in the local market. And a way that we help those dealers is our contributions actually in some cases go to the trades, right? So when someone is looking for someone skilled to help them, maybe it's install one of our products or install something else to make their home more efficient, we're investing in the electrical trades. We're investing in people in the community to actually do the work that's needed, because we found there's shortages just to be able to help those that are trying to make their homes more efficient or make their homes more resilient or install solar. So we take a little bit different approach to it, but we rely a lot on the local businesses that we partner with and trust how they go into the market and the community events that they participate in, to make sure it hits home to the person that's in, Lafayette, Louisiana, or Columbus, Ohio, because we could never be perfect in how we donated money, time, and effort to that. But we certainly are national as well.
You mentioned the electricians. I mean, I just read a great article on, even though AI is embracing so many aspects, the builders, the construction companies, the electricians, these are all essential parts of our future, and perhaps maybe the millionaires of the future when it comes to doing very well, because they just can't be replaced. So what a great investment, no better investment to make there. Anything else you want to share before we leave you?
No, I think we've hit a lot of the really good things. The energy market, or the energy world that we live in, whether, again, we get it from a utility, or whether you choose to be super resilient, right? People today, they're tired of not being able to rely on the utility or the bill that they have to pay, but we're watching people take charge of what they consume and how they get it, right? Whether it's, I have a generator, I have solar panels, I want to store it. And I think that when you look at, hey, I want to be self-sufficient, which I think is the way you led this podcast off here, right? I want to be confident and self-sufficient. Go through the process, right, as a homeowner, as an individual, and say, well, what do I need? What really are my goals? Do I want to lower my utility bill, or do I want to make sure that I'm backed up, or some combination of both? But just take a little bit of time, right? If you take that small bit of time out of your day or out of your week and say, hey, I'm going to make a quick plan, I think it goes a long ways in making decisions and taking stress either out of an outage or making sure that you've got power as cost effectively as you could possibly imagine.
Good final words. Thank you so much for your time, President of Consumer Power, Kyle Raabe. Thank you. And thank you to Generac for keeping us all storm ready.
Thank you very much, Amy.